Hello and welcome. This is Eagle Eye 621, and what you see behind me doesn't actually exist. You are looking at ghost blocks, and behind me over there is a machine that generates ghost blocks, and this works in Java 1.15. Ghost blocks were supposedly patched out in 1.13, but as you can see, they are back. Let's talk a little bit about what ghost blocks are, in case you're not familiar with them, and what you can do with them, because they actually do have some interesting uses in your world. You can obviously troll your friends with them, you can make some mob-proof bridges, but they also have a very interesting ability to allow you to interact with redstone through a solid block in a way that is otherwise not supposed to be possible. So I said these blocks are not real, but you can see that I am jumping on them, and that doesn't change if I go into survival mode. You can see that I'm still not phasing through them, but there's actually a desync between your world and your server. And what that means is that most things can't interact with this. From this mob's perspective, this doesn't exist. So you'll see when I let him free, he's going to try and attack me, but he's going to phase right through the sand. And there he is. If somebody were to be on your server and walk up to you after you generated these blocks, it would look like you were flying in the air. They'd see nothing but air blocks underneath you, which is another good point to make. If you're playing on some servers, you do want to be careful with this, depending on what kind of anti-cheating plugins they have. This might register you as using some sort of a fly hack. Now you can also see that the sand won't update when I put a block next to it. And again, it's not really there. So let's show you how to make this machine, and there are a couple ways you can do it, but the easiest is with the materials in this chest, and they're laid out the way they'll actually be laid out in the design. And it is important that you need a honey block and a slime block. So let's get these and let's build them. Let's go a little bit up in the air. I said up in the air, and get rid of these. And you're going to want to make a line of observers like this. Doesn't matter how far you go, but you do need to make them in pairs. Then you're going to want to take observers that are looking at that line of observers. Take some blocks and put them underneath the output area. Now, strictly speaking, you don't need to do this part, but it does make them more reliable. And you set these repeaters on 2 ticks. And again, you do want to make these in pairs. So I'm just going to do an extra one right here. And then these repeaters are going to be feeding into sticky pistons. And then attached to your sticky pistons, you're going to alternate between slime blocks and honey blocks. And in front of them, you are going to want to put a solid block like this. Now, in terms of how you make your ghost blocks, you can take this a couple of different ways. You can leave it flat like this. You can put another row of honey blocks and slime blocks, keep them matched, so you would do like this. Or you can go underneath, and that determines which direction your ghost blocks come out of. But I'm going to leave it just like this. And for your ghost blocks, you put them, in this example, on top just like this. And to activate the machine, you turn on these observers. And you'll see them go back and forth, and you'll see a block, but that block is a fake block. It's a ghost block. And then you can turn this off. Now, put that here. When you interact with ghost blocks, you can do a couple of interesting things. I have a little bit of a lag generator over here because since this is a creative world, there's not a lot going on. Sometimes a little bit of lag does aid with the desync. Also, if you press the menu button a couple of times in the row, that also helps create this desync. And as I said, these blocks aren't really here. They don't really exist. If I right click on them, they will disappear. Now, that said, even though they don't exist, you can interact with them. So I have a couple of things right here to show you some of these interesting features. And let's get this into the inventory. And one thing to point out about them is that they do interact with pistons. You can push them, but you can't pull them. So if I place a piston in this direction and I grab a redstone block, you can see that they do move. Of course, I just broke my machine, but not to worry about it. However, if you try to pull them, they will disappear. And as I said, I broke my whole machine. Not even playing with real ghost blocks anymore. Let's break this all and come over here and do this with the sand blocks. So you can see if we try to pull one of these sand blocks, it just disappears on you. But you can push them like this. As you can see, that ghost sand block moved. If you try and place a block on top of them, so I'm going to try and place a redstone block on top of the sand block, it's just going to get replaced. As you can see, didn't get placed on top of, it got placed instead of. And if you right click with just an open hand, they just go away. Now, I have a larger version of this machine. This side right here is the same setup that we made over on this one. And these are just a couple of different ways you can do it. You can have the blocks going up like this. You can have no repeaters this way, and you can have the sticky blocks underneath. And this underneath one is the one I'm going to demonstrate the interesting effect in terms of activating redstone. So you can see if I turn on this entire machine, we're going to start to generate some additional ghost blocks. And just to speed this up a little bit, I'm also going to activate this redstone wire, which is just there to add a little bit of lag into the game. And as you can see, some strange things appear to be happening. We do have some observers that appear to be moving, but they're just ghost blocks again. And we have some ghost diamond blocks popping up and moving towards this. Now this is real stone, and one of the interesting things and features about these ghost blocks. So if I turn this machine off, you can see that I do have the haste 2 effect right here, and I have an efficiency 5 pickaxe, and I'll link to some perfect tools if you're interested in those in one of the iCards. And if I go into survival mode, I should be able to instantly mine this. And because I'm standing on some ghost blocks right now, the game is going to kind of lose its mind a little bit. And this is a strange effect, and it should carry over to YouTube. It's not a YouTube effect. The blocks aren't really being mined in the way that they look like they're mined, because you can't insta-mine while flying. And while my game is trying to determine what's going on, I'm standing on a solid block, except the game also understands that I'm not standing on a solid block. So if you do hold this down, eventually you will burn through the block itself because of the normal mining, but the insta-mining effect isn't there. And some of this actually turns into a bit of a ghost block itself, which you'll see when we go through the portal to end this. If you unload these chunks, if you exit your game, if you go into another portal, all these ghost blocks will automatically reset. And speaking of, because they're not really there, you can fire through them like so. And it does also include things like throwing potions, which will just phase through the floor. So you can make some interesting traps if you'd like, with people in terms of trolling your friends. You can tell them that if they donate the first row of diamond blocks, you'll duplicate them, but the price is that original row. Take your diamond blocks and leave before they figure out that they can't actually mine the rest. And if you try and mine these blocks, and again I'll go back into survival mode, it looks like you can mine them, but nothing drops. So you do have that mining effect, but nothing becomes of it. And then just to show you that I do have Instamine here, you can see standing on these blocks that do actually exist, the Instamine effect once again takes over. Now, in terms of the redstone part, this machine broke in terms of turning it off because I desunk it too quickly. So I'm going to make some very quick repairs here by just putting back these blocks before I turn the whole thing on again. In terms of the effect of activating redstone through a solid block, I'm going to put down some observers right here, and I'm going to also take the pistons like this and put some blocks on top. So if I activate this repeater, this is detectable by the observer, and you get that piston to push. Now, if I try and activate it from underneath, you will see that I can't, because this is, of course, normal gameplay behavior. This block didn't move. Now, let me turn back on our ghost block generating machine, and let's generate some of these ghost blocks. You'll see this activate because every time this pulses, that's activating. I'll also show you that these ghost blocks don't cause a update on your observer. So if I put an observer like this, and then just put this piston here to activate, when this line extends, it won't move this block. And you can see I can break these blocks in front of it, and it's also not registering with the observer because, again, this part isn't real. This is not detectable. While these are moving, you can also hide blocks. So if I break a couple of these and I replace them with these stone blocks, you'll see the stone blocks have moved, except again, nothing here is real. This is not a stone block. This is not a diamond block. If I right click on next to this just to give it an update, nothing. But if I click on it with my right click, you can see what it actually is. And if I right click on this one, it goes away because that wasn't the block. So you can make some interesting tricks like this where the block you're looking at isn't actually what it is, and they can be real blocks or fake blocks. So this obviously is the ghost block. This right here, this block that is gonna not move, is a real block, but you're looking at it and it's the wrong real block. And when you click on it, you can tell what it actually becomes. Now what I'm looking for over here is this. Part of the underneath is turning these blocks invisible. So now let me turn this whole machine off again to not have any interference. And let me put these back down. So these are invisible, but they're still there. As you can see, if I try and walk through them, it doesn't let me go. However, in terms of activating redstone, as we saw before, if I try and right click through this half slab to activate this repeater right here, nothing's going to happen. I don't know if you can hear me clicking or not, but you can see that this is still on 2 ticks and this didn't move. However, I can actually activate this repeater through this half slab because that is now on 3 ticks. And this moved up. And I can do that again. So you can see that one activated as well. And I can do that one last time to show you how that works. Now if I put these back down, again you'll see that you cannot activate them when the block is visible. So that's a rather interesting effect. I don't know what kind of use cases that might have, but there is something there that can be played with. Now again, all of this being not real will go away when you leave the chunks. So I have a little portal right here. You just jump through, and then I can jump back. And you can see all of the ghost blocks are gone. Now, again, you can recreate them all. Just get rid of these real blocks. And these are also ghost blocks, as I said, based on the way you position your slime blocks and your honey blocks. And the going up or going down will determine which direction that your ghost blocks get generated in. In this one where they go up, it does go forward and back. And without the repeater on this one, that's when you have the blocks phase through this way and get your ghost blocks on this side. Like this. And this is the bridging technique as well. You can set this up to make a bridge to your base that mobs can't follow you, because as we saw from the ghost sand over there, mobs won't recognize this as real ground, and if they try and pathfind, it will fall all the way through. I hope you found this video entertaining, but before I go, I do need to give a shout out to that machine way in the back there if you saw, and that is from a YouTuber named Destro Gamer. As the inspiration for this ghost blocks in Java 1.15. He made this machine, which I've streamlined a bit, as you can see, but do be sure to head over to that channel. There'll be a link in the description, and subscribe over there and drop a couple of thumbs up, and head on over to the Discord as well, which, as I say in a couple of videos, is how I find out about some of these things and how some other people in our Discord find out before they make it onto these videos. If you found this video helpful, then I would appreciate a like on this video as well. If you found it interesting, maybe one of your chat friends will also find it interesting. And for more videos like this, do be sure to subscribe. Thanks for stopping by.